With borders opening and level 2 restrictions live, the state government has just announced another round of financial support for WA businesses most impacted. Michelle Maynard from Carbon Group, how badly does COVID need to affect a small business before they're eligible? And how much can they receive?
Extremely badly is the answer to that. They have to be able to show a 50% reduction in income for a 4-week period from the 1st of January 2022 through to the 30th of April 2022 compared to the same time last year. Now, that's an incredible drop that a business would have to experience to be able to be eligible for these level 2 COVID grants. There are 4 payments that you can receive depending on how many employees you have, and that ranges from $3,000 for your businesses with no employees up to $50,000 for those with 20 or more employees. For hospitality businesses as well, there is a payroll tax exemption if your payroll is more than $4 million a year. So cash is on the table for WA businesses, but they have to prove that 50% reduction, and it has to be in relation to these level 2 restrictions. So I think that is going to be quite hard for a lot of businesses to prove.
Well, some businesses have been saying today that if they had a 50% reduction, they'd almost be out of business. What is the point of even opening? Michelle, it is not the usual industry such as tourism and hospitality here. What do you make of the move?
So it's great. There has been 3 levels of grants that have been offered through this COVID process this year. So there was the travel and tourism one at the beginning of February, then there was a hospitality and performing arts one at the end. But this grant is for any WA business that can show that they've been affected by the level 2 restrictions. So I think that's fantastic because there are a lot of feeder businesses that don't fall under the normal definition of tourism, travel, hospitality that do get affected by these COVID restrictions. So I'm glad that it's open to everybody. But as you said, Mon, businesses run on really small margins. To show a 50% reduction in revenue, it would more be willing for them to close the doors and to be able to get these grants and survive. So it goes some way, but I really don't think it hits the mark.
Michelle, we have some viewer questions for you. Rod Davis says on February 10, he announced a $77 million package for the tourism and travel industry. We are, over 3 weeks later, waiting on any idea, clue on how to apply. Do you have any advice for Rod?
I do, Rod. That grant actually opened for applications on the 25th of February, and that's through the Tourism WA website. So if you go to that website, it'll have information there about how you can apply. The application process for that closes on the 31st of March, so you do have some time, but make sure you go to the Tourism WA website for that travel and tourism grant. This is the frustrating thing a lot of small businesses complain to me about. These grants are announced and it's fantastic, but they're anxious. They want access to this cash quickly, and it normally takes a couple of weeks after the announcement for the application process to start. For the level 1 grants, that's actually being handled by 2 separate government departments. It is the local government sport and cultural industries and also the Small Business Development Corporation. Now, they're saying that they open on March 11. So again, there's that lag time from when they were announced. And lastly, these level 2 grants, if you have a look at the WA government website, it says they're finalising the application process, and that's still another 2 weeks away. So we know the money's there, but we're still waiting on advice as to how businesses can access it.
Peter Dawson asks a $3,000 grant for sole traders, no employees. Does this include partnerships? Because there is no mention of partnerships.
Yeah, I understand that, Peter. On the Small Business WA website, it says that when they're talking about small sole traders with no employees, they're talking about any non-employing business. So if you're in a different structure, such as trust, partnership or company, if you don't have any employees on payroll, you should still qualify if you meet the 50% reduction for that $3,000 payment.
And very quickly, Michelle, Michaela Mark asks, the red tape will make it nearly impossible. Great funding, can't use it. Is the criteria too strict?
I think the 50% reduction is going to be a really hard number for people to hit. You know, there are businesses that if they had a 20 or 25% reduction, that would be their profit margin gone completely. So I do think the 50% criteria is too hard. Hopefully the application is quite straightforward, depending if you can find which website you're meant to be using. But I do think it is incredibly strict to need a 50% reduction over a 4-week period. So I'm hoping there will be some more funding, or at least less strict funding for small businesses, because we've had it very good for a long time, but we're about to face some really hard times, and small business definitely needs that support.
Thanks for your insight, Michelle.
Thanks, Mon.